Hi, Brian Taylor here, owner of Taylor Aircraft. Today, I want to talk to you about paramotor throttles. So right now, most of you guys are flying the standard kind of clutch lever style left-handed paramotor throttle. So we noticed when we got in the sport that most people were getting hand cramping within 10 to 15 minutes of flying, and it's been kind of a sore spot with people just throughout the duration of the hobby. And this is kind of the best everyone's come up with for the moment. So what we noticed is the reason why you get the hand cramping is you're trying to pull the throttle. If you're using the lower two fingers, you're pulling real close to the pivot point, which doesn't give you a whole lot of leverage to manipulate the springs in the carburetor. So that's a little extra tension that you don't need. On top of that, you're pulling the brake lines with the other 1, 2, or 3 fingers, and you're pulling as much as 10 pounds plus when you're in a turn or manipulating different maneuvers, and depends on the speed and how aggressive you're flying, but you can pull quite a bit of force on those brakes. So trying to do 2 different functions at 2 different pressures leads to a lot of hand cramping. And there's just no way around it. So people, when they're flying, you'll notice as these 2 fingers get tired, you'll swap to this 1 or 2 on the throttle and a couple on the brake, and you're constantly swapping around trying to find a comfortable position. That's not how you want to be flying when your hands are constantly uncomfortable. So we thought there could be a better way. And we researched, typically when you have a vehicle where you're using your hands to manipulate the speed, what are the most common types of throttles? So there's either a twist throttle, which won't work for our application, or a thumb throttle. We really like the idea of a thumb throttle. And first, I'll have to dispel a little bit of the myth. So most people love the left-handed throttle because they want their dominant hand free. And in this style throttle, that is absolutely true, because your whole hand, when this is, right now it's cut off, so I don't have the spring attached. This throttle, it's always blocking where you can put your fingers. So my whole hand now is almost completely useless. So of course, I would want my dominant hand free. However, most of the time our dominant hand for most tasks, and most tasks while we're flying, we want our dexterity hand free, not necessarily our dominant. And I'll show you that in a minute. And with our throttle, you actually kind of get both hands free. So let's toss this aside, and I'll show you guys some more close-ups of this in a little bit. But here is our thumb throttle that we created. So it's just like a standard thumb throttle that you'd see on an ATV, but it makes sense for paramotoring. So when I get this locked in my hand, I'm using my strongest, most independent finger for the throttle, and I can manipulate that completely independent of my fingers. So now, when I'm holding the brake lines, I can hold 1, 2, 3, 4, as many fingers as I want to pull those brakes evenly on hand to hand. And that gives me a nice, even pressure when I'm flying to have my brakes feel the same in each hand. And if I want to, I could even compress it around the body of the throttle. When it's to my hand, I don't even need to hold the throttle in my hand. I just let it stay Velcroed to my hand, and I can fly however. So it just leaves you a lot of extra strength there. And then just the dexterity, just to be able to manipulate the throttle independently is so nice. If your hand ever did get tired, you can use your palm a little bit. You can wedge your thumb in there, acts a little bit like a cruise control. Fun thing is I could even flop it around to the other side, and now it actually does work as a left-handed throttle if I really got tired for whatever reason. But really, we find that on even up to an hour-long flight, thumb doesn't even get tired. It's just an awesome working throttle that makes sense. Let your thumb work independently of your fingers. We're doing 2 different tasks at the same time. So now, as far as being right-handed, you guys like the idea of having your dominant hand free, but here's a different take on it. And this is why on this throttle, you actually want it right hand if you're a right-handed person. So one, check out our paramotor. We've got the arms locked out in the fixed position. Ours is the only one that can do that. You could fly it fixed or active, or just use this for transport. Just showing you that real quick, but it makes it real easy to even get in and out of the machine. But, so right now, give you an example. So if I'm flying, if I want to use my cell phone, a right-handed person, you hold the cell phone in your left hand. And I actually use my phone a lot while I'm flying, believe it or not. But you might need to manipulate different devices, GPS, all sorts of different things. So you would hold the phone as a right-handed person in your left hand, and you type with your right. See, all of my fingers are free. I can type, I can do whatever, while I'm still using the throttle. So I do have my dominant hand free for the use that we would normally use our right hand for, but we hold with our left. So if I'm flying, and let's say I even need to get to my pouch, I can still unzip, or if I need to, for a moment, I can come off my throttle, unzip my pouch, zip it back down. It's still, my hands are free, but this is how you would normally hold a drink as a right-handed person, in your left hand, not your right, and then use your left hand or right hand to open it up. So this throttle just works a lot better. It makes sense because I can use all my fingers, I can still manipulate stuff while still flying. If I need to grab a reserve, I can still grab it, throw it, and it works just fine. I can still, if I needed to, I can flip it around in my left, and I've actually got a left-handed throttle now. But you want it as a right. So right now, everyone that's interested in the throttle, they keep asking, can you make it a right-hand throttle or a left-hand throttle? And I keep telling them, no, you don't want it that way, because that's not what we need. When we're flying or working a GoPro, whatever we're doing, we're using our left hand to hold it. This is just normal how a right-handed person does something. You hold it with your left, and then you manipulate it with your right. My whole hand, if I come down to idle, is completely free. And even on the throttle, I can still type or do whatever I need to do, and it just makes more sense. So that's just kind of a neat little feature with our throttle, and then I'll show you a little bit on how it works. So, all right, so here we go. Here it is in your hand. It's just a nice ergonomic thumb throttle with a really nice kill switch on it. And yeah, you can end up putting a engine tack and gauge, zip tie it right to this flat surface really nice, but this is a really nice working throttle. To launch, you just drape the A-lines over that round section right there and pinch them with your fingers. I'll do a video on that, but it's really easy to launch. But anyway, this throttle just really makes sense. Super comfortable. Use all your fingers to hold it independently. But what we did is make the throttle, whoops, really easy for maintenance. So one, the throttle, we don't have the barrel nut. I've adjusted the throttle that, okay, see it clipped in right there? Kind of hard to see. We don't have that big barrel nut assembly. If you need to drop your engine and work on anything, you simply unclip it, and then you can pull the throttle right out. So there was it fell out, but there was the throttle or the linkage adjuster right there. It pulls right out. So now if you need to work on your engine to drop it on or off, you can pop it off in seconds. You would just need to disconnect the kill switch, which comes with a bullet connector. So the really nice thing about that for engine maintenance, you simply fish the cable into the adjustment linkage, and then you just clip it on. So we've sized it so our end crimp slides through the standard adjuster, and then once it clips onto here, it can't pull out. Now we've gone in, sorry I'm bouncing around here, we've gone in and we've opened this up, we've adjusted the throw lengths on this to get the exact throw you need for a standard Walbro carburetor on, let's say, the Minari or Vitarazzi or anything like that. This is the exact throw you need, no more, no less, so you don't need to adjust your linkage. Most of them that have that barrel nut, you need to undo the barrel nut so you can pull the cable through here, and then usually that cable becomes unwound. By the time you fish it back through, try and slide the barrel nut over, the wires are sticking out, and then you need to adjust it and try and reset your idle. And it takes you quite a long time of adjusting a couple different times to get the length just right. Ours, you just clip on and off. You can drop your engine off in seconds. So there's no adjustments. Super clean, super easy. You got all these other throttles out there that claim to be one better than the other, but really, if it's a brake lever style throttle, then it's gonna work the same. So our throttles are robust. You can basically toss them around, throw them around. They're not injection molded plastic with a little 10-cent, cheesy kill switch on it. This is all, machined aluminum, All nice, high quality stuff here. Anyway, that's our T1 Pro thumb throttle, and it just works really well and it makes sense. First paramotor throttle that actually works how you would expect it to.